All right, joining me now is Georgia Congressman Richard McCormick. He's a member of the House Foreign Affairs, Armed Services, and Republican Study Committees. Congressman McCormick, good morning to you. And some of those that have come out in opposition, according to our research here at Fox, Mike Rogers, Matt Rosendale, Thomas Massey, Corey Mills, Jim Banks, Tim Burchett. So does this mean that this effort by Johnson to tie the SAVE Act to the CR is dead on arrival?
Well, I have my own concerns. As a matter of fact, we're going to debate it today in conference. And one of the things I'm going to say is, look, I ran into Mitch McConnell yesterday in the Capitol, had a really transparent conversation with him. He said if he was Schumer, what he would do is bring it out. They would allow the moderates to vote yes, that they're, of course, for the accountability, knowing it's never going to pass. By the time they pass it, they'll send it back as a clean CR, saying that we're being dishonest. But quite frankly, the question is, this is a great message for us. The problem is that it's also going to be used, this bill particularly is going to be used for messaging for the Democrats. The moderates get to vote and say, of course we want this kind of accountability, knowing it's not going to be passed. So who gets the real messaging out of this? The Democrats, I think, because then they get to prove that they, of course, want this accountability, but no, it's not going to pass. That's one of my concerns for it. And we end up with Nancy Pelosi's continued resolution of this budget that's not ours, with overspending. And that's my concern.
Obviously, the CR is a major focus because it is crucial to make sure the government is funding. Some would say it's risky to make this move by Johnson in an election year, but also the calendar is not your friend right now, Congressman. Aren't there other priorities that you have, considering that you have a very short time to work right now before you and your colleagues all return home for the rest of the campaign season?
Well, what the speaker has said is we need to get to next year so we can fix this with the friendly Senate and hopefully with the friendly president. The problem is that we don't have enough time. We will freeze the government if we don't do a CR, and that's the reality. The question is, what can we get out of a CR? Obviously, Schumer has no intention of passing anything other than a CR that includes Nancy Pelosi's essentially budget from the 117th Congress, and that's what concerns all of us. So we've never gotten any leverage to pass anything, whether it be H.R. 2, the REINS Act, H.R. 1. We've only got the CR back, which means we're basically giving them the budget that they wanted from before we were voted into the majority.
Okay. I do want to switch gears to the day today, the calendar. Today is the day that 13 service members killed at the Kabul airport bombing during the Biden-Harris administration's botched Afghanistan withdrawal are going to be awarded Congress's highest honor. That is the Congressional Gold Medal. So Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries are expected to be in attendance at that ceremony. This is just one day after the House Foreign Affairs Committee released this damning GOP-led report that detailed how President Biden was determined to get out of Afghanistan no matter what, ignoring advice from nearly every military official advising against it. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall joined me on this program yesterday on that watch.
The fact is that the Dems are blaming the prior administration for the Doha agreement when they tore up every agreement the Trump administration had, including remain in Mexico. But the fact of the matter is the Taliban were in violation of the Doha agreement. And therefore, President Biden had no justification to go to zero, pulling all military troops out, all contractors, going to zero, leaving our Marines at the end of the day were left completely unprotected, and women died as a result of that.
Well, here's White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby on that report. Watch.
President Biden, for his part, faced a stark choice when he came to office. Abide by the flawed agreement and end America's longest war, or blow up the deal, extend the war, and see a much smaller contingent of American troops back in combat with the Taliban. He chose the former, and he was able to buy additional time to prepare for that withdrawal all the way into the summer. And we as a nation are safer for it. Any and every discussion about what happened in Afghanistan has to start right there. Sadly, the report does not dwell on it.
Congressman McCormick, your reaction?
Well, you may know that I am an Afghan veteran myself. I was there in 2016 at the head of emergency medicine in Kandahar. One of the things I thought was interesting is that we had about 2,500 people there. That's it. Less than we have in Spain. We've never even fought a war in Spain. It was relatively stable. We weren't losing American lives. Matter of fact, we lost more on that one day than we lost in about the last 10 years. We were doing all this to give them a chance to succeed. We paid $2 trillion, 20 years, and 2,462 lives just to give back the country to the very people we took it from. These oppressive people who are now starving their people, oppressing their people, making sure women cannot get education, cannot be employed. It is horrible to see what we did. The worst debacle of a withdrawal ever, in my opinion, and it's egregious, and it's actually insulting to those 13 Gold Star families to even have Jeffries and Schumer in attendance based on those facts.
Yeah, but the Biden-Harris administration was focused on the calendar, and that was very clear, made very clear in that report that McCall was speaking about yesterday. Congressman Richard McCormick, Congressman, thank you very much. Thank you for your service, and thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Semper Fi.
All right.